Hi everyone, thank you for joining me again today on Blissful Bee. My name is Katie. I do monthly tarot readings on my YouTube channel, and I like to give everybody what's called a Celtic Cross spread for each of the different zodiac. So I do 12 readings monthly, and then in there I also like to do getting to know you videos, or just whatever's on my mind pretty much, and whatever I would like to share with you in regards to practicing health and wellness through your spirituality, basically. I just previously made a video called Getting to Know You, in which I gave you a summary about who I am and what I like to do, and how I heal as an intuitive healer and an empath, and what feels good to me. So definitely check out that video if you'd like to. This video will be, it's going to be a three-part, it'll be 3 different videos. And each one will be focusing on my different decks that I have. And I wanted to share them with you because I think that these are really good ways. First of all, if you're interested in learning the tarot yourself, this can be a really good way to get to know any kind of decks that you've picked up and see what their personality is like, what their purpose is, why they've come to you, and what they're here to teach you, and how you can use them as a tool to help others. You know, it's learning your deck. It's having a conversation with your deck, basically. So what I've done is, in my Book of Shadows, in my journal, with my lion's crest, I have made a list of different questions that you can ask your tarot cards. Let me move this back. Different questions you can ask your tarot cards to get to know more about them. I've posted this video on my website as well, and then I've given underneath it a written description of the questions that I asked, and the answers that I had gotten from the cards that I'd drawn. Feel free to go check that out on the website if you're interested. I also do personalized readings, Skype or phone sessions, or recorded videos or emails or things like that. So if you're interested in a reading, please check out my website and it'll give you all that information there. So the deck that we're going to start with for this first video is called the Rider Tarot. And I think it's probably a good deck to start with if you're just getting to learn tarot in the beginning. I wouldn't necessarily say that this is the deck that you're going to stick with for a long time, because that can be different for everybody. I tend to not use this deck as often because in the beginning I didn't necessarily stick with the descriptions that well. There was a video that I found on YouTube. It was like how to learn the tarot in 2 hours. That really sunk in for me. And if people are interested, let me know in the comments section below if you'd like me to do videos on how to read tarot, because I love to teach people how to read tarot, so I probably will just do them anyway. But here's a couple images. This is the High Priestess. And this is the Four of Wands, Celebration, Minor Celebration, Minor Victory card. The Three of Wands, Journey is just now beginning card. Don't look back. They're all organized right now by suit, because I had just recently gone through them again and reviewed the meanings. So I'm going to keep shuffling these because I want to make sure that we get a good reading. So there are 9 questions in total, and I might have to pause this video and you might get snippets of it because my dogs are barking in the background, and sometimes I find that distracting. So I'm going to keep mixing here. And we're going to go ahead and get started with the first question. Let me get comfortable with. so the first question is, what is your most important characteristic, deck? What's your most important characteristic? So I'm going to shuffle the deck, and I'm going to wait for a card to stick out or fly out, and that's the card that'll give us the answer. What's your most important characteristic? What is your most important characteristic? Here we go. Okay, so this one was sticking out a little bit more, so I'm going to go for it. And this card is Strength. So this deck's most important characteristic is teaching ourselves, or it teaches others how to use their inner will, their inner strength, and know that you are more powerful than you could ever believe. That's what this deck is very good at. It is able to be confident in who it is and in its simplicity, because it is a very simplistic deck in comparison to some of the other ones that I have. I feel like, well, you'll see. And what you notice here is there is a woman who is tamed a lion, but not through sheer force, through the power of her own will and loving kindness. And that's what this deck is here to do, is to show through loving kindness, through strong will, and through, the power of its heart, that anything can be achieved. Any goals, any wishes, anything that you want in this world to manifest, it can be achieved through your own power. So there's that. The second question is, what are your strengths as a tarot deck? Which I think is a good follow-up question. Okay, so we're going to shuffle. What are your strengths, Rider Tarot deck? I just have a hard time shuffling with this deck in general, just because I have really small hands. And I'm trying to do it in a way so that it happens fast and that something sticks out. Oh, there we go, 2. Okay, so the card's strengths. First we've got the Knight of Pentacles, and then we've got the 4 of Swords. So the first one, the Knight of Pentacles, this is a journeyman who is very much so focused on material wealth and moving at a much slower pace than the other knights out there. So this is the slow and steady deck, basically. It's reminding me of the rabbit and the hare, the hare and the tortoise story. And so this deck is saying, slow and steady wins the race. Take into account your material wealth and know that you will need to work hard in order to gain an understanding and gain a connection with the tarot. And then it doesn't necessarily end at a certain point. It will constantly be something that you grow into. Because this is the Knight of Pentacles, it also represents a bit of innocence. It's saying that you won't necessarily master tarot just with this deck. It's a very good starting point, is what it's saying. It's very strong at teaching the beginning understanding on how to learn the tarot. The 4 of Swords. In medieval history, in medieval, I don't know the right word, background, history, men or warriors or knights who would go into battle, typically more so of nobility. The swords are representative of nobility, of mental awareness, typically people who are able to afford a higher level of education. These people would commission sarcophaguses, coffins, I can't talk today, in order to be buried in them in case they die during war. And The Four of Swords is actually showing that rather than immediately just throwing yourself into death, 4 represents foundation, security. You haven't died. It gives you the structure that you need in order to build your understanding and education with the tarot, which I think matches very well with the Knight of Pentacles. It gives you the resources, it gives you the materials that you need to be successful in reading tarot and being a tarot reader. But it's encouraging you to continue moving forward and reflect on why you started learning tarot in the first place and be thankful for that. Be thankful for even having an interest in tarot, because it's opened up so many doors and avenues just for myself. I've connected with people on a deeper level than I ever thought I could before. I've connected with people that I've never met before through the tarot, and it has actually brought me, material income. Okay, so the third question is, what are your limits as a tarot deck? What are your limits? What are your limits? I'll hold it up so you can see it better. Oh gosh, everything's falling out. It's so active now. It has so much to say. I got another 2 set. Okay, your limits. Justice and the Chariot. To start off with Justice, the Justice card is finding balance. It's doing the right moral thing, what you feel is your obligation to do what is right. And what I'm getting from this is that this tarot deck might not necessarily be able to rationally give you a decision. It more so focuses on your intuition, your gut. And it doesn't really allow you to take in the facts. And that's really not necessarily the point of tarot in the first place. Divination in and of itself is trusting your intuition, trusting higher source, higher power to give you the messages that you need and be able to interpret them as messages that can help people in their life path. Justice card, I usually associate this also with the physical world, with the material world, with lawyers, with even scientists, people who need hard factual evidence to support their beliefs. And I used to be like that too. I went to college and I got a degree in a bachelor's of science in psychology and pre-medical sciences, and I used to really believe that I need to be able to see it to believe it. And boy, has that changed. So I think that that's good. I think that this card is encouraging you to understand that it can't give you the facts. That's not what it's here to do. That's not its purpose. It is here to give you insights, suggestions, guidance to help you on your path to inner bliss. The second card is the Chariot. The Chariot is a card of 2 opposing forces working together as one. It's 7, so numerology's perspective, it's expanding from finding again a sense of balance into turbulence. Mastering the forces around you, sometimes alone, in order to be able to achieve your goals. So from that and connecting it back to what are your limits, this is telling me that you might have to experience some of the good and some of the bad in order to be able to conceive your dreams. This tarot deck is not the easiest to learn, I will be honest. And I think a lot of good people out there definitely are able to share with others what works well for them in learning the tarot. And again, it's making me feel like I think that's what I have to do next, actually, is make videos on how to read tarot. But the good thing is that even though it challenges you in this sense to dedicate yourself to study, to bringing together all of the opposing forces, such as, maybe you have a difficulty memorizing things, maybe you have a difficulty persisting and keeping on track with learning the tarot. Maybe you procrastinate. I don't know. It gives you a challenge is what it's getting at. But if you stick to it, and if you really put in the work and the effort, and if you really show that you have a passion for the tarot, it is going to reward you. This deck is going to reward you with understanding about yourself, the world, the people around you, more so than you could have ever imagined. And I've really learned that. You know, it's taken me getting to know other decks in order to understand this deck even better. This deck was good for me to get a general understanding on the history of tarot, on what the different suits are, what the major arcana is, what the minor arcana is. And it's a good deck to start with, and it's a good deck to finish off with. Once you've reached that full circle, again, you've reached the number 10, the numerology, the Wheel of Fortune, you've finished that chapter in your life. You've understood the lessons that you needed to learn with this deck. Is basically, you know, Ouroboros. It's a beginning and an end. The fourth question is, what are you here to teach me? And I feel like I've kind of gotten at that already, but we'll see if the deck confirms for us. Oh, that one stuck out. We've got the Three of Cups, and it's a celebration of your passions. Cups represent hobbies, passions, things that you, maybe a romantic interest, things that you feel a deep love for, a deep connection for. This tarot deck allows you to celebrate your interests in reading the tarot, or I guess particularly mine, since I'm shuffling the deck. It's a minor celebration. It's a notification that there's still much more to learn. There's always much more to learn, and there's always much more to improve on. So celebrate the fact that you have gotten this far in reading this tarot deck and learning the purpose of tarot, but know that there's more to learn. There's more to go. Fifth question is, how can I best learn to collaborate with you? Whew. It's getting real jumpy. Here we go. Did you just see that? It like popped out. I hope it showed. Three of Wands. What are you here to teach me? This deck is here to teach me that I'm about to go on a journey that once I get going, there's no turning back. This is the beginning of a new chapter in my life. This is the beginning of a new way of thinking, a new philosophy on life, which totally makes sense to me because this is definitely the path that I feel like I'm going on right now as a person, is learning more about myself, more about how my way of thinking is even changing in the first place, you know, just so briefly from just a few years ago. And knowing that there's so much more out there in life to go explore and to learn, specifically with this deck, by meeting others well, I primarily use this as my ritual deck, so I think that that'll suit me very well because this deck will give me the opportunity to learn a lot specifically from my spirituality, which I like a lot. Number 6, what is the potential outcome of our working relationship? Gosh, do you see how jumpy it is? And that's a really good thing to know if you're ever doing one-card readings or if you're ever doing daily readings, is to not be afraid to really shuffle, to really kind of throw the cards around because, ooh, there you go. That's how you're going to get your answers. Oh, wow. 4 cards? Am I doing this right? What is the potential outcome of our working relationship? A lot of different things. We got the Knight of Pentacles and the Strength cards again, which is telling me that these are the things that it will teach me. It will bring me, again, more material wealth, and it will teach me to practice my inner will, my inner strength, and connecting with others. Those are definitely two. Queen of Cups. She's the woman who is the clairvoyant. She's a seeress. She is very in tune with her emotions. I definitely identify with this card a lot, just because I feel like her personality traits are very similar to my own. Empathic. Tends to not like being around people from time to time, just because it can become very draining, picking up on all of those different emotions and energies. So that is another potential outcome is strengthening my spirituality, strengthening my intuition and my skills as an intuitive healer. The last card is the Devil, and this is not a bad card whatsoever. It's just saying to be careful of becoming addicted, becoming attached to the deck and searching for answers that I might already know the answer to, just because I'm so intuitive in the first place. The potential. So they're saying that I'm getting two different potential outcomes of this. The first is that if I rely on this deck so much, it could end up becoming an addiction for me, where I'm not going to trust myself, and I'm only going to trust what the cards are saying, and then I'm going to end up confusing myself because I'm reading it so much. Or it could actually end up being very beneficial to me and allowing me to strengthen my already intuitive or natural gifts that I have and the strengths that I have to excel as an intuitive healer in the first place. So it's a good warning of caution of saying, create a schedule for yourself. Just say, I'm only going to do monthly readings, or I'm only going to answer specific questions that I need answers to, and only do the reading once, and trust those cards are the right messages that I need. And this is something that I definitely talk about a lot when I'm giving monthly readings to all of the horoscopes out there on my channel, is that it's important not to get too many readings, because you can definitely overwhelm yourself with the different messages that you're getting. Different tarot readers read the cards differently. They interpret the messages differently. And I've found that you are guided to the people that you are meant to work with, because maybe you have a soul contract with that person. Maybe your vibration aligns with them at that time in your life, that kind of thing. So find what feels good and stick to it, is what it's getting at. Okay. Number 7. Which card do you want to show off? Which one do you think is pretty cool? I like that question. Which card do you want to show off, Rider Tarot? There we go. The Emperor. I do actually like this card. I think that he shows to be a very powerful looking man. Okay, so the Emperor is in the Major Arcana. It is the number 4. It represents stability, structure, soundedness, very much so a fatherly figure type of leadership, providing the structure, the shelter, the safety that his children needs to succeed. The Empress before him brings things into the world, brings them into life, and helps them mature. He's the one who provides the safe home for them to mature in. So this is a cool card to show off. All right, question number 8 out of 9. How do you see me? How do you see me? The moon. I could see that. The moon. The moon, in my mind, can represent two things. The first is that nightmares, dreams, things might be coming up in the nighttime for me that I might struggle to understand or might struggle to be afraid of or want to embrace. Sometimes it can mean not being able to see the light as easily and be afraid of what the dark is showing out there. And at the end, its overall message is pay attention to your dreams, pay attention to your gut, trust yourself. And I could definitely understand with that, because even starting this YouTube channel in the first place, it's totally taking a leap of faith and trusting my intuition with every fiber of my being. And that's definitely where I feel like I am right now in my life, in my spiritual path towards healing and helping others. It's a good card. Thank you. And the last card that I'm going to pull is How Do You See Yourself? Deck. Rider Tarot deck. How do you see yourself? And you know, I've met people that believe that their decks have a name, that they have a personality, that they have consciousness. I agree to it to an extent. And I'll cover that actually after I pull this card, because I feel like we should pull this card first. How do you see yourself? How do you see yourself, deck? I think I was supposed to give me this one. Okay. Four of Wands. A way to celebrate tarot. A way to create foundation for others, create structure, create a place of a safe place for people to come and learn and celebrate what it is that makes tarot so special, what it is that makes this deck so special. It is the beginning and the end. It is an understanding that there is hard work to be done, and there is a journey to be had, but to remember to celebrate it the whole time. And to know that, you know, tarot is an ongoing process. You don't just pick it up and then you've got it like that. Tarot readings constantly change. I've met so many people out there that read tarot that their readings were very much so different from the last time, you know, from a 2-year or even a month period of time where they've grown, they've expanded. And that's the whole point. That's the whole beauty of the tarot, is you expand with it. You learn with it. So that, I think, is perfect. So thank you so much for joining me today on this video. Thank you to the deck for giving us all of these wonderful answers and letting us get to know it. Thanks to my dog Lady for providing comic relief. The last thing, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, the last thing that I wanted to touch on was the idea that people associate names with their decks. They associate personalities or consciousness with their decks. I, to an extent, agree, and to an extent struggle to understand, and it could just mean that I have more learning to do. But I do believe that tarot decks have a sense of consciousness, because they need to be able to communicate messages to you in a way so that you can understand what it's trying to say and what it's trying to tell you. The idea of it having a name, I'm not so sure. I feel like, if anything, it's much more similar to the consciousness of like a plant, a tree, a rock, that kind of thing. And it maybe doesn't have a name, but that could be something to be explored later on in the future. Okay, I think this video is long enough. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please check out my website, www.blissfulbee.net. I give personal readings, I give recorded video readings, I give email readings. If you're in the Phoenix area, I love to come to your party and hang out and give readings for everybody. Check out the website anyway to learn more about me and who I am and what I do. Thank you so much. Peace and blessings. Have a happy week.